silver, diamond, gold, and bronze. These materials have shaped cultures, economies, and even our daily lives for thousands of years. But what makes them so special? Why have they been so highly valued? And why do people still make misconceptions about them today? Throughout history, we've seen these materials tied to everything from wealth and status to power and symbolism. But beyond the shiny allure, there's much more beneath the surface that explains their enduring legacy. So today, we're going to break it all down. Physical properties, economic value, cultural importance, and the misconceptions that have followed them through time. Let's explore why, when it comes to choosing between silver, diamond, gold, and bronze, no single one is the clear winner. Each has its unique strengths. Let's kick things off by examining the physical properties of these four materials. When you think about strength, durability, and resistance, the first thing that probably comes to mind is diamond. It's widely regarded as the hardest natural material on Earth. It is so strong that it can cut through almost anything and is often used in industrial tools. With a Mohs hardness scale rating of 10, it tops the list for hardness. But here's an interesting fact. While diamonds are incredibly tough, they are also brittle. Drop a diamond from a height, and it could easily shatter, which is surprising for such a seemingly indestructible material. On the other hand, gold is soft and malleable, ranking just 2.5 on the Mohs scale. This makes it vulnerable to scratches and dents. But don't let its softness fool you. Gold is incredibly resistant to corrosion. Unlike iron or steel, gold won't rust, tarnish, or oxidize. It can withstand the harshest elements without losing its shine. That's why it's been used in coins, jewelry, and even space missions. Think about it. NASA uses gold in satellites and spacecrafts because of its stability and resistance to corrosion in outer space. Now, silver shares some similarities with gold in terms of malleability. Silver is also soft, scoring the same 2.5 on the Mohs scale. It tarnishes, however, which is one of the biggest differences between gold and silver. Silver reacts with sulfur in the air, causing a dark, tarnished layer to form on its surface. While it's tough and has excellent electrical conductivity, silver isn't quite as durable in the long run as gold. Then there's bronze, an alloy of copper and tin with a mix of other metals added to improve its strength. While its properties vary depending on the mix, bronze is often harder than iron and exceptionally durable. It's resistant to corrosion in water, which is why ancient civilizations used it for everything from weapons to ship parts. In fact, bronze's ability to withstand the ravages of time and corrosion makes it an enduring symbol of human ingenuity. Now, let's talk about economic value. Throughout history, all four of these materials have been highly prized, but in very different ways. Starting with gold, it's been the standard of wealth for thousands of years. Gold coins were used by ancient civilizations, and it wasn't just a symbol of wealth, it was literally money. Fast forward to today, and gold remains a safe haven asset. In times of economic uncertainty, people turn to gold because it tends to retain its value over time. Its scarcity, combined with its high demand in both jewelry and industry, keeps the price high. But don't think silver is a slouch. Silver has been considered a store of value for centuries, and while it's not as expensive as gold, it still commands a decent price. Silver's industrial uses, especially in electronics and solar panels, add a layer of stability to its value. And while gold may dominate the investment market, silver has seen significant price surges, making it a popular choice for investors looking for a more affordable alternative. When we talk about diamonds, the value is primarily tied to the quality of the diamond, including cut, clarity, carat weight, and color. Diamonds are expensive, but unlike gold or silver, they don't have an intrinsic value based on weight. The pricing is highly subjective. It's mostly based on demand, rarity, and the perception of value in society. Interestingly, diamonds aren't necessarily the best investment. Unlike gold, their resale value can vary dramatically depending on market conditions. And finally, bronze. Unlike gold, silver, and diamonds, bronze isn't typically an investment. It's not as valuable on its own. Instead, its value comes from its practical applications, whether in the form of art like sculptures and statues, tools, or historical artifacts. Historically, it was used as currency during the Bronze Age, but today its value comes from its industrial use, not as a store of wealth. Culturally, these materials have different meanings that go far beyond just their physical properties or economic value. Take gold, for instance. Gold has been synonymous with royalty, wealth, and power for centuries. Kings and queens wore gold crowns. Empires were built on gold reserves. And today, the phrase Golden Age symbolizes a period of great achievement. In the world of awards, gold represents the highest achievement, as seen in the Olympic gold medals awarded to the best athletes in the world. Historically, gold was considered the metal of the gods. Ancient Egyptians, for instance, believed that gold was the flesh of the gods, so they used it ostensibly in burial rituals and for crafting sacred objects. Then there's silver, which, although considered second in value, has its own rich symbolism. The silver medal is awarded for second place, and historically, silver was used in everything from coins to jewelry. Silver has been associated with the moon, representing purity, intuition, and reflection. In religious contexts, silver is often seen as sacred, used in altar vessels and chalices. Diamonds represent luxury, eternity, and love. The diamond engagement ring is perhaps the most iconic example of how diamonds are linked to commitment. This tradition, largely driven by advertising in the 20th century, has made diamonds a symbol of everlasting love and prosperity. But diamonds are also status symbols. Big diamonds, like the Hope Diamond, have become pieces of history, signifying wealth and prestige. Lastly, bronze, though less glamorous, has symbolic value tied to endurance and legacy. The Bronze Age is a crucial period in human history that saw the rise of complex societies. Bronze statues, whether of gods, warriors, or leaders, speak to the importance of these figures in ancient civilizations. Bronze is the material for third-place medals in the Olympics, symbolizing the honor and prestige of being among the top achievers. Now, let's dig into the misconceptions that have plagued these materials over the years. Gold is often overhyped as being the absolute standard for wealth. While it's certainly valuable and resistant to corrosion, it's not as rare as most people think. There are around 201,000 tons of gold in existence, and the price can fluctuate quite dramatically depending on market forces. Similarly, diamond prices are controlled by companies like De Beers, and diamonds are not nearly as rare as we've been led to believe. Synthetic diamonds are produced in labs, making them far more abundant than many realize. Despite this, diamonds continue to hold their place as a symbol of status, largely due to marketing efforts. As for silver, people often see it as second-rate to gold. But silver is essential in industries like electronics and solar panels, and its demand is growing due to these uses. It's undervalued in comparison to gold, even though it has unique properties that make it just as valuable in certain contexts. And then there's bronze, which is often seen as inferior or third place simply because of its association with bronze medals. The truth is, bronze was the material that paved the way for modern civilization. It was harder and more durable than iron in its day and continues to play a crucial role in everything from art to industrial machinery. Let's step back for a moment and ask, why do humans assign so much meaning to material things? Gold, silver, diamonds, and bronze are, at their core, just matter, atoms arranged in certain patterns. But we've built entire belief systems, power structures, and traditions around them. That's not just about economics or utility. It's about identity. It's about storytelling. And it's deeply rooted in how we think as a species. Humans are symbolic creatures. We assign meaning to everything. A plain circle of gold becomes a wedding ring. A shiny clear stone becomes a symbol of eternal love. Bronze, a mix of base metals, becomes a war memorial or a symbol of third-place honor. These interpretations aren't fixed. They shift with time, culture, and context. Let's start with gold again, because its story is the longest. Gold has been treasured since at least 3000 BCE, not just because it was rare or shiny, but because it doesn't decay. You could bury it, come back centuries later, and it would still shine. That permanence is powerful. In ancient cultures, especially Egypt, gold symbolized divinity. Pharaohs were buried with gold to signify their godlike status. The metal wasn't just a currency, it was a spiritual substance. Over time, gold's role shifted from spiritual to structural. It became the backbone of economies. Empires minted coins, hoarded it in vaults, and used it to back currencies. That made gold both a commodity and a political tool. Countries rose and fell over access to it. Wars were fought. Fortresses were built to guard it. But gold's value isn't just practical, it's psychological. It signals power, luxury, and stability. People wear it to display success. Nations use it to signal credibility. Even now, in the age of digital money, gold is still considered the fallback asset. When markets crash, people don't flock to tech stocks, they flock to gold. Silver's story is similar, but slightly more complicated. Silver has always played second fiddle to gold, but in a way that's just as important. It was often more accessible, which made it the currency of everyday people. In ancient Rome, the denarius, a silver coin, was used by common citizens. In medieval Europe, silver was the foundation of many monetary systems. Entire cities, like Potosi in modern-day Bolivia, were built around silver mining. What's fascinating is that silver didn't just serve the poor. It also symbolized purity, clarity, and ritual. It was used in religious artifacts, sacred vessels, and royal insignias. It had this dual identity, practical on one hand, elevated on the other. That duality still exists today. We use silver in solar panels and medical devices, but we also gift it as jewelry and keepsakes. Then there's the diamond, arguably the most psychologically charged material on Earth. What makes diamonds so fascinating is that their importance is mostly manufactured, not in the literal sense. Although lab-grown diamonds are changing the market, but I mean culturally. Before the 20th century, diamonds were valuable, sure, but not essential. The explosion in their popularity came with one of the most successful advertising campaigns in history. In the 1930s, diamond sales were plummeting. De Beers, a mining company, hired an ad agency to change public perception. They coined the slogan, "A diamond is forever," and it worked. By the 1950s, diamond engagement rings became the norm. Not because of tradition, but because of marketing. We started to believe that a diamond wasn't just a stone, it was a promise. What's more, De Beers limited supply to keep prices high, creating an artificial scarcity. They made diamonds feel rare, even though geologically they're not especially so. And today, with lab-grown diamonds flooding the market, that illusion is breaking down. But the emotional link remains strong. People still propose with diamonds, not because they need to, but because that's what love is supposed to look like. Now, let's return to bronze, the underdog. Bronze doesn't have the same sparkle. It doesn't sell for thousands of dollars an ounce. It's not featured on engagement rings or hidden in vaults, but it changed human civilization more profoundly than any of the others. The Bronze Age was the moment humans stepped into complex societies. Before bronze, we had stone tools, limited, fragile, hard to repair. Bronze changed that. Suddenly we had sharper weapons, tougher tools, and durable materials for construction that sparked trade, urbanization, even writing systems. We needed records to track who owned what. Bronze made it possible to build, to protect, and to express. It wasn't just functional, it became artistic. Bronze sculptures, cast bells, religious icons, some of the most enduring artifacts from ancient cultures are made of bronze. And even now, it's used in places people don't think about. Gears, ship propellers, plumbing fixtures. Things that don't get headlines but quietly make the world work. And yet, in the cultural hierarchy, bronze often gets reduced to third place. That's not because it's weak, but because it doesn't scream for attention. It's humble, durable, and overlooked, which, if you think about it, might be the most human material of them all. Let's also take a moment to talk about rankings and medals. Why gold for first, silver for second, bronze for third? That order wasn't always standard. The modern Olympic medal hierarchy started in 1904. Before that, winners received olive wreaths or different prizes depending on the host country. The idea of gold as the ultimate prize is rooted in its historical value, but it's also a cultural narrative. We decided that gold means winning. But here's the twist. The gold medal, it's mostly silver. Modern Olympic gold medals are about 92% silver with a thin gold plating. So the first place prize is literally built on second place material. That's a pretty powerful metaphor. It shows how perception shapes reality. Silver, in this case, carries gold's prestige, but remains invisible beneath the surface. The outer layer matters more than the core. That says a lot about how humans view worth. Often, it's the shine, not the substance, that captures attention. Now, let's shift into how these materials reflect human psychology. Gold taps into our desire for permanence. It doesn't tarnish. It doesn't age. It represents what we want to believe about success, that it lasts forever, that once you reach a certain level, you're untouchable. That's why we call it a golden era. It's nostalgic. It's aspirational. Silver reflects nuance. It's more reactive, more flexible. It tarnishes, but it can be polished. That mirrors how we view personal growth. It's not permanent, but it can be refined. Silver is the material of reflection, both literally and figuratively. Diamonds tap into ego. They're about uniqueness, rarity, being seen. That's why they're so tightly linked to love and luxury. A diamond doesn't just say, "I care about you." It says, "You're the one, the only." It's a symbol of exclusivity. Bronze speaks to resilience. It's not the flashiest. It's not the rarest, but it lasts. It weathers storms. It stays solid through time. It's about functionality and staying power. That's a trait many people undervalue in a world obsessed with status. We also have to acknowledge how these materials intersect with inequality. Throughout history, access to gold and diamonds was limited to elites. They symbolized not just wealth, but control. Kings wore gold crowns. Emperors were buried in golden tombs. Colonizers extracted gold and diamonds from conquered lands, enriching themselves while exploiting others. Even today, resource-rich countries often don't see the benefits. The profits go to multinational companies. The labor conditions in some gold and diamond mines are horrific. That's part of the hidden cost of luxury. Behind the sparkle, there's often pain. Silver and bronze, by contrast, tend to be more accessible. They don't carry the same baggage of elite hoarding, but they're still tied to systems of value. Bronze was used as currency. Silver was the backbone of many economies. They were the working class metals, the materials of trade, exchange, and daily life. So when we compare these four, we're not just talking about their physical traits. We're talking about human systems, economic, cultural, ethical. We're talking about how we rank things and why. Let's also consider how modern technology is changing the game. Gold and silver are still critical in electronics. Gold is used in tiny connectors inside your smartphone because it doesn't corrode. Silver is essential for soldering and for photovoltaic cells in solar panels. These aren't luxury uses. They're survival uses. Our tech-driven world depends on these metals more than most people realize. Diamonds, too, are more than jewelry. Industrial diamonds are used to cut, grind, and drill. Lab-grown diamonds are revolutionizing manufacturing. They can be used in high-performance optics, quantum computing, and even advanced surgical tools. The hardest material on Earth is now helping us push the boundaries of science. Bronze. It might not be trending on the stock market, but it's still everywhere. In moving parts that need low friction, in valves, gears, bearings, in musical instruments, in sculptures that outlast their makers. Bronze is the quiet backbone of countless industries. So maybe instead of asking which is best, we should ask, what does each one represent? And what does that say about us? Gold says we value stability and legacy. Silver says we seek adaptability and clarity. Diamonds show our need for identity and permanence. Bronze reflects endurance, practicality, and quiet strength. Each material tells a story, and when we listen to those stories, we start to see our own values more clearly. That's what makes this topic so rich, not just the materials themselves, but the way we project meaning onto them. How we see in them something we want, whether that's power, love, beauty, or survival. And maybe the real lesson here isn't to pick one. Maybe it's to recognize the value in each, because life isn't made of gold alone. It's built from silver connections, diamond-hard choices, and bronze foundations. We all carry a little of each, and that's what makes us human. So, which of these materials is the best? Well, it really depends on the context. If you're looking for investment and preservation of wealth, gold takes the lead. If you're after luxury and symbolism, then diamonds reign supreme. But if you want something that balances affordability with usefulness, silver has the edge. And if you need a material that's tough, durable, and has historical significance, then bronze wins. Each of these materials has its own unique set of properties that make it valuable in different ways. The next time you see gold, silver, diamonds, or bronze, remember, it's not just about the price tag or the shine. It's about what these materials represent and what they can do. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dives into fascinating topics. Until next time, keep exploring.